Episode number 9 of the Board Together Games podcast was almost not made possible by road trips, bad weather, and fatigue. It is, however, made possible by listeners like you. Thank you. In this episode, we give you our thoughts on Sagrada, Welcome To, and Trash Panda. We also run down some games we look forward to playing at Geekway Mini and some podcast ideas for 2020.
Fuzzy tacos.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to episode number 9 of the Board Together Games podcast. My name is David.
My name is Jerry.
And I'm Kathy.
And we're going to mail it in. Let's face it. This is just going to be I feel like we're throwing this episode together.
But here's the deal. If you tell them we're mailing it in, it could be that this is a fantastic episode. And, the listeners aren't going to know any better. But now they have an expectation for how badly we're going to mail this in.
That we're going to stink it in.
We're going to stink it up.
Well, no, see, our mailing it in is still pretty amazing, though.
Well, this is true.
We are amazing.
We do have Dave on the podcast. I mean, that's all that we got to say.
That's what's up. I can't pull that off, can I?
Yeah, you can. Just you shouldn't.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it was a crazy day today. I don't know if you guys were out and about, but the weather was horrific. I mean, it was going to be cold. Everybody knew it was going to be cold. I didn't see anywhere that it was going to snow.
I didn't get that either. No.
And it didn't snow a whole lot. It wasn't a lot of snow, but holy cow, there was no road prep done at all, and it made driving a disaster. And it seems like every time I need to drive a decent distance for work, that's when this stuff happens. I had a 100-mile commute today, which was bad enough to begin with. The company I work for has some locations that are kind of far away, and I don't have to go to those sites very often, but when I do, it always seems like it's snow or ice or something terrible. Ugh. And oh my gosh, when I was driving home, there must have been, I didn't count them, but it had to be at least 40 cars that were in the ditch or wrecked or something. It was crazy. Part of the interstate was shut down.
Where were you coming from? Were you coming from Columbia or from St. Louis?
Well, I was like 30 miles north of Columbia.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Highway was shut down. I was lucky to get home, and I was happy to be here when I did.
No kidding.
Did you guys get stuck in any of it?
Well, we had a little bit different experience. We actually traveled to a funeral for my husband's aunt, which is about a 3-hour drive one way down into southern Illinois. And it was snow, and we were shocked to see the snow, but it was kind of flurries and just kind of like dusting across the road, but not really affecting the roads. And we really didn't have any experience like that at all. And even coming home, hearing what you said, I didn't really experience that coming home. I mean, there was snow on the sides of the road, but we were mostly highway, I guess that was part of it. But we were on different highways than you were on, and we didn't see any of that at all. So I think, and we got home probably early evening, and we didn't really see much traffic. I don't know if that had to do with Martin Luther King Day and there was people off and schools off and things like that, but we didn't have a lot of traffic. Everything seemed to be pretty smooth for us, luckily.
Well, that's good. Yeah, there was cars stacked up for 12 miles down Highway 70 on the other side, which is good. But
man,
that is good.
Well, speaking of work, I've been lining up some days off, which is kind of great. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I'm taking a day off for Geekway Mini coming up here in a couple of weeks. I'm taking 2 days off in February to paint the house. Get that. That's going to be some good times right there. And I'm taking 3 days off in March for Karen's birthday. We're going to have a nice little getaway because she needs it. I'll just put it that way.
Aww.
That's nice of you. Yeah.
What do you guys got going on?
Well, I've been playing a lot of games lately.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, it's been really nice. I mentioned previously that my cousin and her boyfriend came over the night after Christmas to play games with us. Well, they came back again a few days ago, and they brought some of their friends that are gamers, and I think this might be a regular thing.
Wow.
Really happy. We might be getting the opportunity to play this like on a regular basis, maybe like bi-weekly or something like that. Yeah, there was a total of 7 people here, and my husband and I were 2 of them, so 5 people. 3 people that I never met before, and we were all gaming all night long. It was a lot of fun.
Nice. That's very cool.
I guess that means me and Jerry are out.
It sounds like we're on the outs.
No way, man.
But I wasn't trying to say anything. But yeah, we're on the outs, man. Awkward moment.
Yeah.
Nah, I still love you guys.
We'll just see. We'll see how this pans out.
I'm not very comfortable with you seeing other people, Kathy.
But anyway, I'm excited about Geekway as well, a Geekway Mini. 3 full days of gaming. I'm so excited about that. I definitely need that relaxation time. I'm so ready.
Yeah, it'll be awesome. I gotta say, I agree. My goal is to play as many of those play and win games as possible because this year I will win a play and win.
There you go.
I'm 0 for 2. I'm 0 for 2, but I'm going to win this year. I'm going to win something.
You're going to be 1 for 3 next.
Yes. Get back in there. An actual decent batting average at that point. Yeah.
That's the kind of attitude that I like to hear.
There you go.
Yeah, we'll be talking a lot more about that a little bit later on in the podcast. We're going to touch on a few of the games in particular that we're most excited about and most looking forward to playing. So stay tuned for that. Well, I haven't been playing a whole lot, unfortunately, but the things that I have been playing, I think warrant a little bit more time than we're going to have to spend today. And particularly Taverns of Tiefenthal. We've played that a couple of times, and that's going to need a little bit of
exposition.
It's going to need more time than we can allot right now. Yes. So
yeah, I'll agree with that.
Look forward to that one on a future podcast coming up very soon. We're going to go into that one in depth and give you our thoughts about that one. So I also purchased a few games the other day, which is kind of great. It's been a while since I've actually bought some games. So I was able to pick up a copy of Good Cop, Bad Cop, and I picked up a copy of Mad Gab. I got both of those from a secondhand store.
Oh, Mad Gab.
Yeah. So Good Cop, Bad Cop is a social deduction game. I've heard some really good things about it. It's pretty simple, but it sounds like a lot of fun. It was only like $7 or something like that. Look forward to playing that one. And Mad Gab is just a super funny party game that we used to play a lot years back. And I think my mom had the copy, and I think she got rid of it at a garage sale or something like that. So that was only a few bucks. So I grabbed that because, geez, Kathy, the stories, right?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
It's great stories.
It's a great game. I have one beef with that game.
What is it?
It is that the box, at least the version that I have, the box is absolutely stupid. And if you tip the box over in the wrong direction, everything falls out. It is a terribly designed box, and it is the reason why that ended up in the trash can. We were losing pieces left and right, and this is before I had a huge collection. So this is probably like early, mid-2000s, but we play that all the time, but cards would end up everywhere because you'd put it in your bag, because you're going to a friend's house, come back, and you'd find them laying everywhere because the box was stupid.
Was it the cube?
It was the cube.
Yeah.
I hated the cube. The cube was the worst. Hopefully they've gone past that.
I don't think so. I think that's the only way it's ever been offered.
That's the only way I've seen it.
I hate that.
Yeah.
I don't recall ever having that problem.
Okay, maybe it's like my own personal issue.
Well, I'm not saying it's not an issue. It's just not something that I've ever come up against. I guess we just always kind of opened it up, grabbed the cards, took all the pieces out, laid the box aside, and then packed it back up and put it away in a spot where it wouldn't get messed with. So
yeah,
I don't know. Anyway, it's just a little bit about it. It's a team game, if you don't know what it is, where players take turns showing clues on cards to their teammates, and the cards have names and phrases on them, and they're kind of chopped up phonetically. So one teammate will know what the correct answers are, things that they're trying to get their other teammates to say, but the other teammates are trying to guess what that name or phrase is. And an example that I'm going to use, which is the one that has just kind of gone into history at this point within our family, is there's 3 words on the card. The words are meek, came, and house. All strung together. Meek, came, house. So that's an example of what a guessing teammate might be looking at. And they have to try to figure out what it's supposed to be, which in this case is Mickey Mouse. So if you say those words fast, meek, came, house, it sounds like Mickey Mouse. So, oh my gosh. It's just, you really have to play this game to kind of experience just the stupid humor and the side-splitting laughter that can happen, but it's great. So my family enjoys it.
Hilarity ensues for sure.
It does.
Yeah, exactly. So if you ever get a chance to play that one, you can usually find it at Goodwills and secondhand stores really cheap. So give that one a shot. I also went to Barnes & Noble and I picked up a copy of Password, like the old school looking one with the little sleeves that you slide the cards in with a little red film, and it shows you the password for the round. That one, we used to have a lot of fun playing that when I was a little kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I also got Machikoro Legacy. So yeah, that one, a couple episodes back, we had some interesting things to say about Legacy games. But the reason I picked this one up is because my family loves Machikoro Legacy. And I think, Jerry, you're going to get upset about this, but I think this one's going to get played just in our immediate family.
No, let's see how it is. I'm being ostracized from all groups. It's cool.
Aww.
No worries.
Dude.
No worries.
We'll bring you back into the fold later, I guess.
Yeah. After I pay my penance, whatever that is. I don't know.
We'll let you know when we figure it out.
There you go.
Well, in the meantime, Jerry, can you tell us a little bit about what you've been playing lately?
Yeah, sure. You know, this is we say this is a Christian podcast, and it is, and it's about board games, but it's also about family. And I've got 4 kids. 3 of them are of the age to be able to start playing board games, which is really cool. They're 9, 8, and 6. So I've been looking out there for games. We played things like Ticket to Ride First Journey, and we've played things like My Little Scythe. They've got some other ones that are just silly games like Kitty Kitty Bug Slap. But I found a new game. It's called Trash Pandas, and it seemed like it had some educational elements to it, so I thought we'd give it a try. It's by Lisa and Michael Askew. It is published by Game Right Games, and it's a 2 to 4 player game. So in this, it's a great theme, Trash Panda. You are a raucous raccoon raiding trash cans for food and other sundries. So basically, you get to be a beautiful trash panda, which I always love because my dad hated those things. So he had a permanent beef with the ones in Ferguson with me. So I remember him getting out there and just trying to beat him with a broom. It was fantastic. But the game, back to the game. It's a dice rolling, push your luck, set collection, hand management game. So it's got like a little bit of everything, which is great for teaching mechanics of games to kids, I thought. So yeah, on your turn, you roll a dice. Each face has 1 of 6 actions, and you can roll the dice as many times as you'd like. But if you roll the same action twice, your turn ends. So there's your push the luck. Once you've stopped rolling, you may take your rolled actions in any order that you like. And those actions are such things like you can take cards from the trash, quote unquote, which is the deck of cards. You can steal cards from other people, which is a very raccoon-like thing to do. And you can stash cards in your tree, which is where ultimately you get your set collected to score points at the end of the game. And the goal is to collect as many of those sets as possible and have the most of those sets, because that's how you score points. And usually in most of the categories, there's a first and a second. In some of the categories, there's a first, second, and third place for how many points that you can get. Some of the things you're collecting, which is very thematic, is, pizza, fish, shinies, and nanas. So those are, some of the things. You also have an energy drink, which is kind of fun. If you roll and you happen to accidentally roll the same face twice and your turn was going to end, you can throw a blammo down, which is this energy drink, and you get a second chance to roll and try to not roll something you've already rolled. In addition, each card has special abilities, and if you use those, you can use those to either help yourself, some of them are that way, and some of them are to hurt other people. When the deck is gone, that ends the game, and then players count the sets in their stash, and points are awarded that way. So we played this, the 3 of us, we played this game and it was great, but I went ahead and played it with my kids a couple of times, and they enjoyed this game a lot. It was a lot of fun, it was light. I was able to teach it to my 6-year-old. He pretty much followed. Mom had to help him a couple places here and there, but for the most part, he followed. The set collection, he had to kind of understand that. And the odds, I don't think he fully grasped that, but he was just trying to collect, he decided he wanted bananas, so he was trying to collect all the bananas. Whatever, that's fine.
That's cute.
It is cute. He was going to town, and actually he ended up winning, so, well, whatever.
Wow.
There you go.
There was a take that element, and my kids, they love that in every game. Whether it's My Little Scythe with the pies, they love being able to do something to mess with their brothers, sisters, and mom and dad. So
Especially mom and dad.
Especially mom and dad. I asked them at the end of the game, I said, what was your favorite part? They were like, I love stealing cards from you, Dad. Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
I ended up with, most of the time I had 1 card because they kept stealing them from me. It was great.
If you're going to steal from dad. That's what you
Just
do.
steal from dad. Just do it. Yeah. My only complaint of this game is that at the end, scoring requires paper. It wasn't provided in any way, shape, or form. And it could be a little confusing for the kids about how the scoring goes. I pretty much had to run down each person's stash and be like, all right, so you scored blah, and this is how many points you got for that. And we had to write it all down. That kind of slowed, I think, the fun of the game down for them, but they enjoyed it, and they loved knowing who won first, second, and third. So honestly, since we played it, the kids have asked to play this game every day, which has been 2 days now since we played it. Can we play Trash Pandas again?
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, they like it. And today I had to tell them, no, I'm going to talk about it on a podcast.
Well, I can imagine too that after a couple of plays, they're probably getting better at grasping those concepts of, hey, I need to go for these because these are going to get me the most points if I have the most of them at the end of the game. So difficult concepts at first maybe, but once they go through a couple of rounds, I would imagine that gets easier.
Yeah, exactly. And also laying the groundwork for these, because once you've seen set collection, then if you see it in the next game that I introduced to them, I can be like, look, this is like Trash Pandas. You're trying to get as many of this instead of bananas, you know? That kind of lays the groundwork. And the odds thing was interesting because, I mean, Toby, my 6-year-old, the first time, he was like, I'm just going to keep rolling. And he rolled 4 times and he got 4 tokens. And then my daughter, Emma, she's like, ooh, well, if he can do that, then I'm going to push my luck too. And, you know, by the 3rd time, I think she rolled and she didn't have a blammo. So her turn was lost. And they kind of got the feel for how that luck kind of works.
Right.
Which I thought was good. And then they saw me. I rolled 1. I think I got a recycle token. And then I rolled again and I got a recycle token. And I was like, well, there you go.
Yeah. I still haven't learned about that concept in pressure luck games. I'm a slow learner. It takes me a little longer than most. No, I like this game too. Typically, that's the kind of stuff that I really don't like in games, when it's stealing stuff from people and the pressure luck side of things, which when it doesn't go my way, it gets me frustrated. I've talked about it many times on the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
But when a game is short like this and light, I don't mind it at all. And I did have fun with this one. And honestly, this is the type of game, I haven't played it with my family. I played it with you guys and we had a great time. My boys are 15 and 13. And I think they would like this game.
I bet.
Because it's just that same kind of thing, right? They like doing mean things to each other and mean things to mom and dad. I think, you know, they love that kind of stuff. So honestly, Game Right as a publisher, I can't think of too many of them I played from them that I have not liked or I didn't think would go over well, especially in a family environment. They've got a ton of them.
They got the sandwich game. We love that game. They've got a Stack of Pancake game, which we have, and they like that game too. So yeah, they make some good ones.
Yeah, they've published a version of Sushi Go. They do Sushi Go Party, I think. Just a ton of them. They do a great job with family games.
They do.
Yeah, I thought this was a cute little light game. It's not something I loved, but like you said, it was a really nice little light game. It's great for families, and I can see the appeal and the draw for that for sure. I don't enjoy pressure luck usually, but this one was cute enough and light enough that I didn't mind if I totally bombed and couldn't take my turn. It was a cute little game.
That is Trash Pandas, and I gotta say, my family enjoyed it. I believe it's like $9 on Amazon, so you can pick it up and give it a try without a lot out of your pocket.
Kathy, what do you got?
So in keeping with the family-friendly theme of this episode, I'm going to also talk about a nice friendly game called Sagrada, which is also one of my favorite games of all time. It's designed by Adrian Adamescu and Daryl Andrews. The publisher is Floodgate Games, and it's a 1 to 4 player game in the base game. And with the expansion, it can be up to 5 or 6 players. And there really isn't a theme for this game, but it's based off the beautiful stained glass windows in the Sagrada Familia in Barcelona. If you've ever seen pictures, it's absolutely gorgeous. This game is a dice drafting game where you are drafting different colored dice. They're placed in the grid pattern over 10 rounds. There's number and color restrictions in the placement of your dice, and there's also several different player boards that can vary in difficulty. The goal is to complete your board with no empty spaces and maximize your points to win the game. Each round, players take turns drafting dice in a clockwise order, starting with the start player, and then in a snake-like fashion, they draft again back around to the first player. And they place each die as they're drafting. There are special tools that are available that can help you mitigate the dice drafting and the placement of the dice, as well as there's different hidden and public objectives that help you maximize your points. After 10 rounds, players count up all their points for objectives, and the person with the most points wins the game. This is, like I said, one of my most favorite games of all time. It's a beautiful little puzzle. I enjoy looking at all the different colored, beautiful dice. And as you're placing them, you can just see the stained glass window take effect. And it's just, like I said, a great puzzle. Puzzles are one of my favorite types of games, trying to figure out a puzzle. So definitely in the top 10 for me, as I stated before. So what do you guys think? I think we had a chance to let Jerry play this game.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun. It reminded me, in terms of broad theme, of Azul, which I had played before this. I think this came before Azul. But, I mean, you've got kind of go around the board and collect up the tiles you're going to use and then figure out where you're going to place them. In this case, it's dice instead of tiles.
Right.
And you get your own little puzzle you're dealing with, but you're also dealing with the limitations of the drafting as other people are taking dice from you. So there was a challenge personally, and then there was also like, you got to be somewhat aware of what other people are looking for so you can be aware of what's going to be coming back to you, hopefully.
Right. The drafting could be great for you or really bad for you.
Yeah. And then there was the random aspect of it as well. I mean, you're grabbing 10 random dice out of the bag, and you don't know what they're going to be, and you may need something this round, and there may only be one yellow that round, which is the same thing that happens with Azul. And
exactly.
I noticed trying to play that give and take on that was good. It was a good challenge, and I would definitely play this again. I'd play this in the same vein as if we wanted to play an Azul style game. I consider this almost the same style and something that's a good challenge.
Totally, I do too.
Yeah, it's a good mental workout as well, because you're trying to figure out how you're going to work that in, and then you're looking at your limitations on the board. Like, I've got a 4 there and I've got a 5 there, which means only a 3 can go there, blah, but it has to be a green 3, so I'm down to 1 die and 1 die face that can go in that spot.
Yes, that's why I love it.
Which did happen to me, and I got lucky and I got the 1 die face. But if you don't, I think Jesse he had a spot that was unfillable because of the way he had set up his board.
Yeah, those things happen in this game. And honestly, that's part of what I love about it, is that, this game has tension. It has that element where it forces you to try to look ahead.
It does, yeah.
Not just for the second die you're going to draw in that round, but how am I going to build this out to kind of maximize my options from round to round as well. So there's so much that goes into the thought process of drafting each and every die. And honestly, there is only a couple things that I really ever had a complaint with in this game, and some of that had to do with the limited variability, but everything that I had complaints about, they've already fixed in expansions. I like the fact that it goes to more players now with an expansion. So yeah, there's really not anything negative that I can think to say about this one. It's just a lot of fun, and the rule set is so simple.
Absolutely.
I would say that there's maybe a little bit of, I guess, hand holding that might go along with some younger kids when it comes to trying to teach them kind of the strategy and how they want to try to build out that board. But once you kind of get that in your head and what those limitations are, like I know the first time we played with Ryan, he was only 10 at the time, and he actually had a 1 die on his board that was breaking one of the placement rules, and he didn't even realize it. Right? So you can't place any of the same number orthogonally adjacent or color orthogonally adjacent as just part of the basic rules of the game. And I think he broke that rule one time. But you know what? We let him slide on that, obviously.
Oh, sure.
But yeah, outside of that, I don't see any reason why younger kids can't get into this as well. Obviously the theme is super great for families. I think it's really cool, even though there's not really much thematically to draw you in. It's like you're experiencing something, but just the look of the game and how they themed it that way is beautiful.
It's a beautiful game.
See, I disagree with you just a little bit. I do feel like I'm building a stained glass window. I feel like there's a little bit more theme than you were feeling. You understand what I'm trying to say? Because you have that little window there, and each time you're placing a dice, it's a different color, and it can get that stained glass colored window look. And I really enjoyed that part of it. I got more of a theme out of it than you did.
Well, and I would agree with that. I guess where I am going with saying there's not a whole lot of thematic ties there is it's not an experiential type of theme. It's a visually beautiful type of theme.
Okay. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. It's kind of like Summer Pavilion, or any of the other Azuls. Like, the backdrop, but the backdrop doesn't really play into the game. The theme, but you're not like, the theme isn't part of the actual game experience, aside from aesthetically. Aesthetically, it is.
Yes.
Fully. But in terms of the actual gameplay itself, it's not like Betrayal Legacy or Dead of Winter or The Reckoners.
Or even some of the Euro games that have a lot of thematically tied mechanisms.
Yeah, I think so.
I've got no complaints. It's not a complaint at all. It's just...
No, I love it.
So I don't think I have been able to successfully fill my entire window pane. Is that what they call it? Window pane?
Mm-hmm.
In all the times that I've played, I'm the best I've done is one short where that last die, I just couldn't get the thing I needed to place it. But I think that's pretty common.
Yeah. I had one spot open my first time through.
I'm still looking for the day when I can, even if I don't win, just being able to complete the entire grid, the entire window would be awesome.
Yeah, that'll feel good.
Yes. And that is Sagrada, one of my top 10 games of all time.
Well, and I will follow suit in talking about a game that lends itself well for family play. And I actually had a couple of them to choose from. And the one that I really was leaning towards, I'm not going to talk about it because it's actually not available unless you want to find it used on eBay or something like that. And that was La Granja No Siesta, which is a dice drafting game. And it is just an amazing little roll and write that was kind of on the leading edge of that whole craze. It came out, I think, a year or so before everybody and their brother started designing and publishing roll and write games, designed by a really cool guy, Odie, and everything that he's done so far, I've liked. He's got a brand new one out called Cooper Island that I really want to play sometime very soon. But yeah, this one, La Granja No Siesta, plays up to 4. It's dice drafting at its finest. You draft pigs and donkeys and grapes and wheat and olives and coins and hats off of these dice, and you just mark spaces on your sheet that give you special abilities and points. And honestly, we did a review of of this game over on our YouTube channel, so you can actually go and check that out if you want more information on it, if it sounds cool, which it is very cool, and I highly recommend it. It is a great game for families, but I am going to talk about, instead of that, a different roll and write. I guess technically it's a flip and write, and that is called Welcome To. Welcome To is a game designed by Benoit Turpin. It is published by Blue Cocker Games, and it is for 1 to 100 players.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that later. This game, oddly enough, this one's been out for almost 2 years already. It's crazy. In this one, players are American architects competing to build the best housing estates on 3 different streets that they've been assigned. And they will do this by choosing from an array of numbers and houses and placing those numbers on the houses on their streets and performing actions and fun things like that. So each player is going to start the game with a sheet, which is typical for these types of games. And that sheet is going to have 3 rows of houses on it. And those are your streets. The roofs each have a place to write a number in them, which is going to be important later. And there is a big deck of cards that has numbers on one side and action icons on the other side. So what you do is you shuffle the entire deck, you split it into 3 stacks, and then you flip over 1 card from each of those stacks, revealing an action. And then you place out 3 different achievement cards from a big old deck that comes in the game that is going to give players some extra point scoring options during the game, and it also is one of the game end triggers. And the goal is to place numbers on the roofs of those houses in ascending order, left to right, on each of the 3 streets. And you complete estates by fencing in groups of houses. You can build pools and parks, and you can increase the value of your estates that are of certain sizes. So in each round, players are going to look at the 3 stacks of cards that are community in the middle of the table, and they're going to decide which stack they would like to play on their streets. Each of those stacks is going to show one side of the card showing a number and the reverse side of another card showing an action. Basically, you're stuck with playing one of those stacks. So for example, you can't take the number from one stack and the action from another stack. So then you must place the number on one of the roofs of one of the houses on one of your streets. And then you can always optionally take the action from that stack as well. So the actions that you can choose from are, you can construct a fence, which lets you fill in a fence between any 2 houses on one of your streets. You can build a pool, and to build a pool, you actually have to it has to be on a house that has a pool. Not all of them do. And the number that you choose has to go on that same house. You can work on a park, which each of the streets has its own park, and the more you work on a park, the more points you get at the end of the game. You can visit the temp agency, which allows you to change the value of the number that you chose from that stack by 1 up or down. So for example, if you chose a 7, you can write in a 6, 7, or an 8. You can choose the real estate action, which allows you to increase the value of the different groups of houses that you're going to have at the end of the game. So for example, you can choose to increase the value of your level 2 estates, which are estates that have only 2 houses in them. And then you can do that for the 3 level estates or the 4 level estates or 5 or 6. And the last action you can choose from is the biz action, which it allows you to break the rules of writing numbers. So in other words, if you have a 5 and then a skipped space and then a 6, you can then fill in that space with either a 5 or a 6 by taking that action. But it does break the rule, and because it breaks the rule, it also counts for negative points at the end of the game. So as I said before, numbers must go in ascending order, and you can fill in a number anywhere. It doesn't have to be right next to the last one you placed, but you cannot break the ascending number rule. You can leave spaces in and fill them in later. You can leave gaps in your houses completely. And once every player has chosen a number and performed an action, if they wish, the next card is flipped from each stack and each player chooses a stack again. So play is going to continue like this until one player has had 3 rounds where they cannot legally place a number, and doing that gets you negative points, by the way, if you cannot place a number legally. Or any player has completed all 3 of the achievements that are out in the middle of the table, or any player has filled in their entire neighborhood by putting a number on every single roof, which never happens. And the most points at the end of the game is the winner. So Welcome To has become very popular since its release, and I think that's rightfully so. This game continues to get table time for me, and I've introduced it to multiple groups. It always goes over well, and I actually thought this game was fairly complex as far as teaching it goes, but once once you grasp the concept, it's really not that bad at all. The worst part of it is probably teaching it. After that, it kind of hums right along. I did teach this to a group of non-gamers one time and initially thought it was going to be kind of a disaster because of the complexity, but it actually turned out being amazing. It was kind of cool because I could see as people were going through and we'd go from round to round, I could see the wheels turning. I could see people forming their strategies. They were asking questions and it actually got really, really serious. Because this group of people, I don't typically see them that way, you know? But yeah, it was really cool how they kind of latched onto it and we had a great time.
That's awesome.
I have played this game with as many as 10 players at once. And while I know the box says you can play 100 players or more, but I'm not sure I would recommend that. I mean, when I played this with 10, people were having trouble seeing the cards and they were having to get up and move around. It's like, oh, what is that one? I can't really see it. So honestly, I don't know that I would recommend more than say 8. I think that's kind of where I would cap it. But I think it's kind of cool that the game design does allow for that. So, you know, maybe at a convention, if you were playing something like this and somebody had a camera and a projector, you could play with a whole big room of people. I wouldn't want to try it though.
Bingo hall.
I was just thinking the bingo hall. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would not want to try it.
Could be a new bingo game.
Well, you guys, Jerry, have you played this one?
I have not, but I was just looking over at BGG, and I gotta say, I love the artwork. It's really cool. I've never played a flippin' right, but it sounds like a lot of fun. And finally, apparently there's a Back to the Future reference on there, so I think I have to own this game now.
Is there?
There's a DeLorean flying through one of the pictures, and it's set in the 1950s. So yeah,
it is set in the 1950s. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
I have to check that out.
Now I wonder if that's in the base game or if that's in one of the expansion packs.
Well, the little thing here says that it's part of one of the player aid boards on the back.
Oh, that could be. That could be. I haven't looked at those super closely, but I could certainly see because they do have some very 50s looking art on
They
them.
do.
Kind of
They
like
do.
the billboard type advertising stuff. Yeah. And that brings up a good point, though. I mean, the theme is basically it's super glued onto this thing, right? But I think it's cool. I think it's fun.
It is.
It looks nice.
Looks cool.
I can't say that I ever really feel like I'm an architect designing houses when I'm playing this game, but I do love how family friendly it is. The components are great. I actually went so far as to laminate some of the scoring sheets because the stack of papers that they give you is pretty good size, but I anticipate this one is going to be around for quite a while. So I figured, why not? You know, I've got access to
It's not a bad idea.
to a laminating machine, so I might as well take advantage of that.
So I bought this game at Origins when it first was available. And so I've had it for a couple of years now and have had several opportunities to play as well. I find it very fun. And again, this feels a lot like a puzzle to me. So it's right in my wheelhouse. I enjoy puzzles. So trying to piece together where am I going to put these numbers and make sure that it's going to work correctly. And I'm going to have space for something that might come up later, but I'm not going to have to break my house rules. And I enjoy building the pools. That's a good challenge for me. I like making sure I can try to get as many pools as I can built. And
that's a big point scoring thing too. That's one of the biggest point getters if you can make it work. So this is another game that provides a lot of that tension, kind of like we talked about in Sagrada. So you're taking that risk. It's like, okay, I'm going to put a 6 here and I'm going to put an 8 here. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to get a 7 a little bit later, but sometimes those numbers just never come when you need them.
Right.
It's awesome.
But yeah, it's fun to kind of put yourself in those situations in the hopes that you're going to be able to get that last second perfect number to come up and you just like, I'm a genius.
Risk reward. Yeah.
I love that kind of stuff. There's actually quite a few expansions for this game as well. I have not played any of them. And honestly, I'm not sure if I need to because they look to me, Kathy, I don't know if you've ever seen any of these. They look like it's just other pads of paper that just have different stuff on them, like Halloween and things like that. And I haven't looked too deeply into them, but it doesn't look like they changed the gameplay all that much. Maybe a few little tweaks to the rules here and there. And I just didn't know if that was enough of a reason to spend another $20 on a pad of paper. So
I can see that.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I will own those, but I don't know that I need to. It's great as it is. I think it's a clever design. I think it's a great addition to the roll and write genre because even though it's a flip and write, it's still in that same vein. And in my opinion, it's one of the better ones out there. It's going to be in my collection for a long time. That's Welcome To. Well, there you go. There's a few games that we highly recommend that you can very easily pick up and play with the family and with groups of friends. So if you get a chance to check those out, do it.
Do it.
Do it.
All right. Well, the next thing that we want to talk about in this episode is we've been mentioning here and there a little bit about Geekway, Geekway to the West, Geekway Mini. So that's the local convention group that we have in our area here. And as we mentioned before, we are going to be attending, all three of us, the Geekway Mini event, which is taking place January 31st through February 2nd.
Yeah.
And we just wanted to take a few minutes to kind of talk about what we're looking forward to, what we're anticipating it's going to be like. I mean, this is really early. Typically, a lot of gamers don't really figure convention season starts until around April or May, when Gamma and Origins and those things start happening. But and this is a small convention. It's not real big. I want to say it's what, 5? How many tickets did they sell? Do you guys know?
Wasn't it like 300?
No, I thought it was like 600, but I'm looking on their website.
Oh, was it 6?
It's definitely less than 1,000. It's 3 to 6. Sounds like
it's way less than 1,000.
Somewhere in that range. So yeah, not a huge convention, but it's designed to be that way.
They're sold out.
They are sold out. Yeah, the things that I'm looking forward to. Well, first off, the things that I don't know about. This is all of our first time going to Geekway Mini. So we're kind of flying blind about a lot of things. So we don't know much about the venue. I don't think I've ever been to the venue.
Yeah, that was my first year, was at Sheraton Westport.
Oh, really?
There's a lot of places to play. There's quite a few rooms, but it is not as big as the St. Charles Convention Center.
Oh, no.
No.
I've been to the Chalet for work conventions, but I haven't been for the gaming convention, so it'll be interesting to see what's changed and how it looks. It's a lot smaller, like Jerry said.
It is.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you both have at least been there, because you'll probably have a better idea than me about parking and that kind of thing. So I don't know anything about that. I don't know anything about the gaming hall. Sounds like you guys have been inside there, so you have an idea of what it might be like. Food, I mean, we're going to be in Westport, so there's the Westport options. But outside of that, I don't know if there's any kind of food that they're going to be offering in the venue itself.
Fuzzy tacos.
What? Dude.
That's a name of a restaurant that's in Westport Plaza, and it's delicious.
Oh, okay.
Their tacos are, contrary to what they say, their tacos are not fuzzy. So that's a good thing.
If you're not afraid to go off campus from the Chalet, I work one exit down the highway from there. So I'm familiar with what's available in Creve Court area. So if we wanted to kind of step out and go down that direction a little bit, we have some options that way too.
It's a possibility. Well, yeah. And the other thing is events. I don't know that there's going to be a lot of events, because I think the whole idea of this convention is more focused on gaming, as opposed to, hey, come join this thing, or let's do the trade table, or let's do the mega game, or you know what I mean? I think this is basically, here's some tables, here's the library, some play and win stuff, knock yourself out.
Yeah.
That's what it seems like to me. And if so, I'm fine with that.
Me too. It's all about the gaming for me. I'm excited about that part. So whatever else is there is just gravy on top of that. So I'm pretty excited about the gaming part.
Can it be icing instead of gravy?
Sure. Actually, icing would be better now that you say that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jerry, gravy or icing?
No, it's got to be gravy. I'm more of a savory guy than a sweet guy.
Oh, you ruined it.
Well, let's go with the gravy icing. I think that's a thing. Let's make that a thing.
Let's not make that a thing
so.
at all.
It's really sugary gravy. It'll be great. Nothing wrong with that. Turkey gravy with a little sugar. I'm trying to gross you guys out. Sorry.
It's working.
So as I've been on their website. So for Geekway to the West, the big one, which happens in 130, 140 days, that one has all the different events and guides and all that. It's all on their website. And then when you go to Geekway Mini, it literally just has, like, as of right now, 10 days till it happens, and then just the name of the games that are the play and wins. So I think it really is just going to be a boiled down, simplified, let's just play some games and enjoy ourselves. More of what they actually had. My brother went like 8-10 years ago, was the first time he went, and that's what he was saying. There was a couple of events, but for the most part, it was just, let's sit down for 3 to 5 days and play some board games, on the original Geekway to the West. So, yeah.
Well, cool. I'm looking forward to it. I'm good with it being just that. And
me too.
We'll see what happens.
My whole goal is going to be to play as many play and wins as I can, so I can get my name in there. I'm going to win something. I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Speaking of play and win, I mean, as far as the titles that they have, it's stacked.
Yeah.
I mean, we were kind of rattled some of those off in the last episode. My concern, though, is based on the number of attendees. Is that going to be relative to the number of copies that they're going to have available? So, for example, at Geekway, the big one, I mean, they can sometimes have a dozen or even more copies of a game that is in the play and win.
This is true.
Like Wingspan. Wingspan was the one last year.
So this is my fear, is that with only 300 to 600 people, are we only going to get 1 or 2 copies of a game?
Yeah.
That might be tough. I don't know.
Harder to win, yeah.
Well, harder to even get your hands on them.
Oh, good
That's
point.
true.
Can you play them?
That's true.
Because you know how people can be at these conventions. Hey, let's go check out 16 games and just stuff them under our table so nobody else can check them out, so we got a better chance to win. Yeah, those people.
Them people.
You know who you are.
They're out there. They're out there, unfortunately.
So yeah, we'll have to see how that goes. You know, hopefully it's not a big issue, but like I said, it's our first time doing this. So
Yeah.
we're going to find out, and then we're going to let you know
For sure.
in a future episode. We're going
We
to
sure are.
cover all this kind of stuff and give you all the, as Jerry would say, the deets on what
The
happened.
deets. Give me the deets.
I mean, I'm not worried about actually having games to play though, because Geekway has over 1,800 games in their library, and it's tons of great stuff. It's not like a bunch of junk. If you can't find something good to play that you either haven't played before or that you have and you really love, then you got problems. So
You need to get your glasses on.
Yeah.
yeah, so I don't think we're going to have an issue there. I'm really hoping that there's going to be some play and win accessibility, just because the more we're able to play, the more we can report back to you and give you our thoughts on what we liked, what we didn't like. And that's kind of one of the main goals for me.
I'm going to be taking notes whole time. That's one thing about Geekway the West last year. We played a ton of games before we had launched the podcast, but I went back after that and trying to remember what I had played was rough.
It can be tough.
It's a whirlwind, so
Yeah, when you're playing a lot, trying to remember details on a specific game can be difficult.
I'm going to take some notes for you, my loyal listeners, all 3 of you.
All 3. I think we're up to 5 now.
Oh, 5. Oh, sweet.
Because we are huge in Sweden.
We are huge in Sweden.
Okay, and then I guess the last thing that we want to kind of talk about when it comes to Geekway Mini are some specific titles that we are looking forward to playing. So these are all titles that are in the play and win, and the first one I want to talk about is a game called Coloma. It is designed by Johnny Pack. It's got a really cool Old West theme, which I am a sucker for games that have an Old West theme. It has simultaneous action selection, and it just looks like a blast. Have you guys seen anything about that one?
I've not
No.
seen anything about it, but I mean, it looks cool. It definitely does. For me, I think I'd want to play, I've never played it, Alhambra. It's the revised edition, but I mean, it was 2003's Game of the Year, and everybody speaks highly of it, so I need to get that played for sure.
Yeah, me too. That's kind of an evergreen at this point, Alhambra. And I think it's great that they brought out a revised edition. You've been able to find, I don't know that it's ever been unavailable, but I mean, because there's been releases of like a big box with a bunch of different expansions. And I think that's kind of what this is, but they kind of condensed it down to where it's just in a normal size box. It's the base game, and they added quite a few of those little extras in there, some of the better add-ons and expansions. So yeah, it looks pretty good. I have not played it either. I'm very familiar with it. I've just never gotten hands-on with it.
One of the games I'm looking forward to playing is Embark. That game looks very interesting to me. I couldn't find a whole lot about it as I was doing my research, but it's a light to medium weight Euro game. Not really sure much else about it, but just that little nugget right there really gets me interested in playing this game. So I'm looking forward to getting a hold of that copy and trying that one out.
Yeah, you had me at light to medium weight Euro is Kathy's mantra.
Exactly.
That's all you had to say.
Exactly.
Well, I'm right there with you. Light to medium weight Euros is kind of my wheel. That and party games are kind of my 2 mainstays. Typically, I'm at least going to want to give it a shot in those 2 genres. I'll play anything, but I agree. So another one for me is a game called Freshwater Fly. This is a follow-up to a game that I own and love called Coldwater Crown, and it's a fishing game. Coldwater Crown was a fishing game that had a really cool worker placement mechanism that was also implemented in a game called, Raiders of the North Sea, where your turn consists of placing a worker and taking an action, and then removing a worker from another space on the board and taking that action. Coldwater Crown did a similar thing. Freshwater Fly is quite different. It's still fishing themed, but this one is trout fishing. And the mechanisms kind of revolve around casting, reeling fish in, and actually catching them. It looks super interesting. Can't wait to give that one a shot because, again, it's a unique theme, and I'm always a sucker for a unique theme. It's a light to medium weight Euro. I'm in. Count me in.
Well, I actually am going to say the exact same thing. This is on my most anticipated as well, for the same reasons. I love Coldwater Crown. Freshwater Fly looks really interesting to me. So again, I'm very much looking forward to this one.
I'm going to go with something that's a little more like the hotness. So Everdell's kind of creeping up there, and it looks really cool. It's got a drafting mechanic. It's a work replacement type game, tableau building, and I like those style of games, I must say. So it's creeping up there on BGG, and I would like to give it a try and see how it goes, and who knows, might be one of my top games of the year.
That one's easy on the eyes too.
It is. It's a great looking game.
It is.
Really good looking.
I got to tell you guys, this is my list seems to be a meshing of the two of you's favorite list, because Everdell is also on my list, and you had me at work replacement and tableau building. So again,
so predictable.
I know.
You're basic.
I am, but that's all right.
And you said the word use, which is always fun.
Use basic.
I did not.
You did. You said use guys.
Use guys. Hey, use guys.
Well, I was in Southern Illinois today, so.
Oh, okay. You're forgiven.
Is that the excuse we're going with?
Have you been to Southern Illinois?
Yeah.
All right. We got any more, Kathy?
The only other one that I seem to have some interest in, just looking at the list, is It's a Wonderful World. It's a card drafting and engine building game, which I love engine builders, obviously. So I don't know a whole lot about it, but wasn't much to find when I was researching again, but definitely something I want to at least look at and give it a try.
Interesting you should mention that one. I actually just got done listening to the latest episode from the Dukes of Dice, and they talked quite a bit about this one. They reviewed it.
Oh, awesome.
And what I can tell you that I'm getting from them, just their discussion and conversation, is that it think Seven Wonders, only a little bit simpler, but with some really interesting things going on. They both gave it a 4, I think.
That sounds pretty good.
Out of 10?
No.
Out of 6.
Out of 6.
Who does 6?
They do. It's their shtick. I guess that's a little plug for the Dukes of Dice. So if you're listening, guys, give us one back. Hook us up.
Do they live in Sweden?
No, they do not.
Dang it.
No, one of the guys lives here. Lives in our neck of the woods.
Oh, really?
He moved here a couple years ago, yeah.
So which one was that? Oh, yeah, It's a Wonderful World.
It's a Wonderful World, yeah.
Yeah, so that piqued my interest on that one as well. So, yeah, I'll definitely jump in on a game of that one. So what's next for me? What else did I want to talk about? Eco's First Continent. This one looks really interesting because it's another bingo style game. So if you know games like Karuba or Rise of Augustus, where it's, somebody draws something from a bag or you flip over a tile and everybody gets the same thing and has to place it on their own little personal player board or something. And then, everybody's player board ends up being completely different at the end of the game. Or like in Augustus, it's actually closer to Augustus, I think, because it's more of that. If you have the icon that's drawn, you take a piece and mark that spot on one of your cards or whatever it is that you have in the game. But this one is totally amped up. So Kathy, you like Rise of Augustus. This is like that, but on steroids. It's got a lot more mechanisms going on, and it just looks super fun. It adds tile laying.
Nice.
My ears perked way up when I heard all that stuff about this one.
I kind of blew past this one in the list, and I didn't really pay attention to it, but your description of it makes me really interested in trying it. So
yeah, I have a feeling this one might be a highlight. You never know. I mean, I've been let down by games before, and I've been completely surprised by games I thought I was going to hate. So this is all purely speculation at this point.
That's the way you got to go into it,
That's right.
For me, I think a lighter game, because we love to play these heavy games there, but by the second or third one of the day, personally, I'm fried.
Oh, yeah. We're going to need some of those lighter games for later in the day. Sure.
So, yeah, something that I was looking at that I thought was really cool, lighter game, was the Grim Masquerade. And it's a social deduction game, which I know there's a tough one, bluffing game, card game.
Kathy's out.
But it's something that, it plays 3 to 5 players. It's a lighter game. I think it looks like a good variation on that, and I'm always willing to try something new in that category and see if it's something that would be a worthy addition to that category for me.
Yeah, because there was a glut of these games years ago, but
there was.
But now, I mean, that it's kind of settled down in that when one does come out, usually it's because it has something unique and interesting,
and that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, and it sure looks good. That game looks amazing as far as just the presentation of it. Well, another one for me is a game called Imagineers, and I really don't know a whole lot about this one other than it has a Mon-Column mechanism, and the theme is theme parks. Okay, I'm in. Theme parks. I mean, there's been a couple games that have tried it before and have kind of not been great. So I'm still kind of, one of them was Unfair. That game was just mean. Then another one was Steam Park, which was okay for a couple of plays and it got old pretty quick. So I'm really still waiting for that theme park themed game that is going to blow me away, and I'm hoping this one's it. So
nice.
Imagineers. Well, I got one more. If you guys, am I good to keep going?
Yeah, go for it.
Go for
Do it.
All right, last one, and there'll be more. I'm sure we'll get some plays of some other ones in too, but Reavers of Midgard.
Yeah.
I would love to play.
I'm actually looking forward to that one.
What's funny about that is I've still yet to play Champions of Midgard. That's another one of those that's been around for a long time. People rave about it. They love it. This one, though, looks very cool because it has an action selection mechanism, kind of like... what's an example? I mean, the games are polar opposite as far as themes and appearance, but San Juan or Race for the Galaxy or Roll for the Galaxy, where the active player picks an action and does that action, and then everybody else around the table gets the same action, but not quite as powerful. It's that kind of thing. So it's worker placement in that style. So if it's my turn, I place my worker here and I get to do this great action, and then everybody else gets to do the same thing, only not quite as good. And I love that. I think that's amazing. So Reavers of Midgard, one thing I noticed about it is that the board and everything looked super busy and difficult to read, but hopefully that was just because of pictures, and in real life it won't be so bad. But yeah, kind of looking forward to that one too. Reavers of Midgard looks like it might be right in my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
So yeah.
There's one final one I'd throw out there just as I was going through the list again. I realized it, but Clask 4, that could be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Just kind of silly, fun.
Clask is great. My youngest son owns the 2-player one, and we still play it quite a bit, actually. And the fact that that one's got a round play surface, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So that'll be pretty cool. I'll definitely want to try that one out. I just adding that round play surface and adding 2 more players just seems like it
could be interesting.
Chaotic as all get out.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. There are some games that we are looking forward to trying out. Hopefully we'll be able to grab copies of them and play them and report back to you at a later date. So I think at this point, what we're finding is that we're probably going to get one more episode recorded before Geekway Mini actually happens. But then the episode following that, which should be episode 11, should be our Geekway Mini kind of wrap up, just kind of our thoughts, a lot of the stuff that we played, what we thought of it. And we may not really frame the episode as, Geekway Mini, but we'll just have a lot of stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
And we'll bring that to you, and should be really awesome. Well, we're getting close to wrapping it up for this episode. There's a couple other things we wanted to bring to your attention. So it's 2020. We are looking to add some new things for the podcast this year. And we're going to make a big push to grow the podcast in 2020. And I think part of that effort is going to be engaging more on social media. We want to get ourselves out there more in front of designers and publishers in an effort to bring you more new games and our thoughts on them. And we also want to start including our audience in the things that we do. So as a part of that effort, starting next episode, episode 10, we will be doing a new segment called, I don't know what we're going to call it yet. Are we going to call it Sweet 16?
I mean, we are ripping off of somebody else.
Well, I don't know that that's trademarked, though. I mean, that's just a thing, right?
It is a thing. And we're going to do it, and we have our own spin on it anyway. So
exactly.
That's right.
Yeah. But I think it should just be called the Sweet 16 because that's what it is.
That is kind of what it is. So when I say Sweet 16, think March Madness, right? And if you're not a sports fan, March Madness, well, anyway, basketball, they work in a tournament, they work on these brackets. So you pair these teams up against each other, and then the winners of those games move on to the next level of the bracket, and the winners all play, you go head to head against each other, and they just keep pairing down until you finally get to the final match of 2 teams, and the winner wins the whole tournament, right? So think of that. What we're going to do is we're going to have 3 or 4 of us, however many people on the podcast, and we'll be nominating games for the Sweet 16 until we get 16 games. And then we will pair them up randomly and vote on which of those games we think is the best. And then the winner moves on, and you just keep going down bracket style, or maybe we could call it board game deathmatch style. I don't know. Something like that.
Ooh, that's fun.
Until we find a winner. And it'll be category based. So it might be co-op games, or it might be, worker placement games, or just that kind of thing. So that's one thing that we're going to do. And we're going to come up with other things as the year goes on. And as always, feedback is welcome. If you've got ideas or something you'd like to hear us do or hear us talk about, just let us know. And we're going to tell you how to let us know shortly. But in the meantime, we're going to continue to do some of the same things we've always done, like the game gripes and where's the love and our discussion topics. And we have some good ones of those lined up as well, so you don't want to miss out on that.
Yeah, and don't forget, on the Sweet 16, we're also going to be encouraging interaction from our fans. We want them to give us their thoughts, because the way it works is there's always going to be something that's left out, and there's going to be somebody who didn't make the cut the way they should. And we're going to give you, the fans, an opportunity to vote on it and show us how your Sweet 16 would turn out. And the way that's going to work, it's going to work on Twitter, it's going to work on Facebook, and you can tell us your thoughts on it, and you can have your voice heard, and we can see how close or how differently our Sweet 16s match or don't. It'll be kind of interesting to see, and I'm excited about that. Really excited about that.
Yeah, I think that's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Kathy, why don't you go ahead and wrap us up by giving everybody our fun contact information?
Absolutely. So you can contact us on Facebook or Twitter with the handle of @board2gether. You can also reach us on our Board Game Geek Guild, which is number 3625, Board Together Games. We also have a website, boardtogethergames.com. So we would really love it if you would subscribe to our podcast. You know we're great. Just subscribe and share it with your friends. You know you want to. And the best way that you can help us is to give us a 5-star rating on iTunes. We'd really appreciate it. Okay, everybody, we're tired, so we're going to wrap this thing up. But remember, if you're bored together,
Board together.
Wow.
I did that perfectly. I am awesome.
You are awesome.